The illegal trade in bird life, both dead and alive, is big business. The more exotic and rarer, the better. Now, in our next case, the police raid the home of a man selling incredibly rare birds. He claimed they were the offspring of legally kept birds, but modern science proved that he was lying, and he was sent to jail.
This peregrine falcon is at the centre of the most significant case of bird theft in British legal history. DNA analysis of a blood sample from this bird proved that she and her chicks had been stolen. The falcon was taken by Derek Canning, seen here during a raid on his home. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail, but proving his guilt was no easy task. Conservationist Brian Little regularly checks nest sites in the northeast to try to stop thieves. Canning was targeting the same nests in Northumbria, where peregrines successfully breed.
The thing that attracts the peregrines to this site is this large number of feral pigeons which breed all the year round under the old stays in the harbour. They're a great packed lunch for the peregrines.
Brian had long suspected that Derek Canning was stealing peregrines from the wild, but there was no concrete proof.
It took several years to nail Derek Canning. He was seen at various peregrine sites throughout Northumberland, with or without his friends, sometimes alone, sometimes with an accomplice. We slowly had to fit the pieces together. It was like a great big jigsaw. And every new piece in the jigsaw gave us a bit more information.
The breakthrough came when RSPB investigators, Guy Shorrock and Karen Bradbury, decided to search Canning's aviaries. He had advertised his birds in magazines. As well as cash, he asked for camera gear, a Rolex watch, even a car. Inside the aviaries, investigators find 14 peregrine falcons and other birds of prey. Canning says he bred the birds from captive parents, a perfectly legitimate occupation. But the investigators suspect he's been systematically stealing eggs from wild nests, incubating them, and then pretending he bred them in captivity. It's a simple process for the bird thieves and very difficult to prove, as Guy Shorrock, who took part on the raid, admits.
Parents have been sold or stolen. There's several pairs of sparrowhawks, but I can't say which young came from which birds. Is that fair? Okay.
Unless you were very lucky and to actually catch somebody in the act of robbing a nest, which is something that only takes a few minutes, it was almost impossible to prove conclusively that the birds were from the wild. And cases would often fail at court because, quite rightly, the court would give the keeper the benefit of the doubt.
Canning told them all his falcons had been bred from just 2 pairs of adult birds. But as the investigators search his sheds, all they can find are newly hatched young. Canning said the adults had been stolen, a common story from bird keepers trying to beat the system. RSPB investigator Karen Bradbury seeks an explanation for the chicks.
So you don't have a single breeding male or breeding female of any species for any of these chicks? You have not a single adult bird on the premises?
To find out whether Canning has been telling the truth about his birds, they take blood samples from the peregrines, and all the birds are then taken into custody. The blood samples are sent for DNA analysis, where a genetic fingerprint, unique to every individual falcon, is produced. Professor David Parkin pioneered the technique at Nottingham University.
Well, this is an example of a genetic fingerprint which has been developed so that one of the genes comes out more darkly. You can see the male individual and the female parent, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 progeny individual. The male has these 2 copies of this gene, and the female has these 2 copies of the gene. And if we look at this offspring individual here, then this copy has been inherited from the mother, and this copy has been inherited from the father. But if you look at this individual, that band matches with one from the father. The other band up here doesn't match with either parent. So either this is a newly arisen mutation, or this individual is not related to these 2 as its parents.
Usually, DNA is used to identify a particular human being. In this case, it will establish the parents of a bird of prey.
What we are dealing with basically is a paternity test. We're taking blood samples from the suspected stolen birds and trying to compare those with blood samples from alleged relatives.
As the parents were supposedly stolen, Canning's case is complicated, but DNA fingerprinting proves that there must have been 5 female parents, and these chicks aren't brothers and sisters. The chances that Canning bred the birds himself is remote.
It's the probability of winning the national lottery twice, the single jackpot alone twice. It's just so remote that there had to be alternative hypotheses, which was that he wasn't telling the truth.
The DNA evidence is irrefutable. In a landmark case, Canning is sentenced to 18 months in jail, the first time a bird thief has been imprisoned.
There's no question that since Derek Canning was jailed, the number of peregrine nest robberies in Northumberland has dramatically declined.
DNA is a breakthrough in detecting bird crime. 16 people have been prosecuted on the evidence it provides. After Canning's imprisonment, the number of birds registered as bred in captivity suddenly declined, as other suspect bird keepers heed Canning's lesson.
Mr. Canning was a very difficult person to deal with, and I have absolutely no doubt that without DNA we would never have got him to court and we would never successfully prosecuted him.
This is the only falcon Canning had that can be returned to the wild. The others have died or become too domesticated. It's a special moment, as the bird has its Jessie's cut for the last time. She has a 50-50 chance of survival in the wild, and it's down to DNA that she's been given the chance.
You ring down? Aye, let's go. It's the trees right at the back.
This is Buzz. Climb over. Is it?
Aye. Sorry.
Just pan it across it. I think it starts getting difficult actually.
Romp a stump, man.
He's some shit, lad.
I think he's doing wrong with that back. That was back in.
There is the place that Hager said the peregrine was nesting. And then there's the nest ledge. There's the peregrine's supposed nest there, panning across. That's I suppose the nest site. Panning across to the waterfall. As you'll see, it's behind the nest.